Welcome to A Healthy Dose. Today we're talking on stress, and stress can impact our health, thoughts, emotions, behaviors, relationships, our work, basically everything. We know that stress is a natural response that does have its benefits. But how does this apply if we apply to the development of children? Is stress a healthy part of development? How should we shelter or expose our kids to this natural element in our lives? Our guest today is Dr. Andrew Blackwood, a speaker, consultant, counselor, and coach, affectionately known as Coach Drew. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Julie. Thanks for having me.
Now, as parents, we're both parents, we often shelter our kids from stress, but is there a healthy approach that we can take when it comes to stress in kids?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of alluded to it in your opening. The reality is
Mm,
stress is a part of life.
yeah.
Stress isn't necessarily bad, though. We hear
Mm,
stress and we automatically feel stressed out.
we sure do.
But there's good stress and then there's bad stress.
Well, that was my next question. Okay, so what's the difference between good stress and bad stress?
So I like to think about stress in a particular way. So stress is like pressure.
Okay.
If you think about it, you go to the gym and what do?
Yeah.
You stress yourself out,
You
right?
sweat, yeah, you get
You
all
put stress
comfortable.
on those muscles by
Yeah,
using them. But when you use them to an appropriate amount, it does, break the fibers of the muscle, but you repair and then you grow.
right.
But if you overdo it,
You
that's
know it.
right. So
Mm,
working out is good, but working out too much is
yeah.
not so good. So it's not that working out is bad. It's not that situations in life that we face are necessarily bad, but sometimes we're not prepared for them or we overdo it. And it's important for us to realize what's good and what's not so good.
So how do we recognize the stressors that a child faces?
Well, some of them are pretty typical across the stages of development. Things like um, learning how to climb stairs,
Mm.
right? What's interesting is you'll have an event, you'll have an experience, but then you'll see the personality of the child come out.
It's so
So,
true.
right? Because every
Yeah.
child is a little bit different.
Mhm.
So, like my younger daughter, I have two daughters. The younger one, when she was learning how to climb stairs,
Yeah.
what she did was she would take one step up, turn around, come down, turn around, and go back
Oh.
up until she got that process.
And she felt like she was confident. That was her
That
confident
was her
building
way to
way.
do
Yeah.
it, and that was the way she systematically approached
Mm.
things, whereas my other daughter, she just went running, right? She just went running. So some kids will find certain things
Right.
stressful and other kids won't. Some kids will naturally have a way about doing things and some won't. So it's a balance of knowing what could be stressful, but then being observant to watch your child as they engage with these developmental tasks.
And I think that's the challenge is with the different personalities. And these are natural stressors,
Yep,
and they don't have to be negative.
right.
How do we make sure our children receive it as this is a natural part and not get overwhelmed? Like, for example, my younger child, we're teaching her how to ride a bike. She would she would get so frustrated and she'd throw the bike down and just stand there. I'm like, but we're like, honey, it's gonna take you a lot. Like, how do we make her understand that, it's okay. You don't have to go overboard in your reaction.
Yeah. There are no guarantees with parenting. That's one of the things I've
That's
learned.
for
There are
sure.
no guarantees. You do the best you can, but there are
Yeah.
some things we can do. One is be observant, like I said. Pay
Mhm.
attention to the particularities of your child, their personalities, what they
Yeah.
struggle with, what they don't. But another thing that we can do as parents is exercise patience.
Ooh,
Yeah,
as parents.
as parents, because if our child loses it,
Mm.
and then we lose it because they lost it, then everybody's lost it,
Everybody's
right?
lost.
So we're sending a message that there is no room
Mm.
for imperfection. There's no room for
Right.
having a challenge with it, right? So when we can demonstrate and pull back and calm ourselves, then we're making room for them to say, okay, actually, this is not the end of the world.
That's very interesting. Now we're going to have to go to break for a second, but it almost seems like stress tied to failure. We can make that a big thing if we think it's a bad thing, whereas failure doesn't have to be a stressful thing. Am I right on that?
100%. So failure for me There's an acronym: friend, analyze, investigate, learn, understand, regroup, and execute. Failure isn't bad. Failure is actually good. Failure is our friend.
That's good.